All right, team. Welcome to the Daily Ritual. Now, this is a practice that is obviously done daily, and in my experience, is one of the most powerful tools to increase your overall mood, productivity, and satisfaction in life. I know it sounds crazy, but it is a super powerful tool and something that is cost free, available to everybody, and you can do it no matter where you are. So, I'm going to give you a little rundown on how it works, how to use the form effectively, the main points to focus on, and how it has helped me and how I'm confident it can help you. So, to start with, this form is a guide. You can do this just on any piece of paper or a little book. I have a little book beside my bed, and once you get comfortable with the flow of it, on the piece of paper, I'll just start with writing GGG down the side, fill those out, and then ABO, so just the first letter of each of the words, and then I'll take it from there. So I'm going to explain each of these processes individually. So the first thing to do here is gratitude. So gratitude is focusing on the things in your life that you're grateful for. Now, this is one of the most powerful tools to retrain our brain to see the positives in life, to recognize the things that are going well in our lives, rather than what is often the default, which is to focus on the negatives. So with gratitude, it can initially feel a little bit daunting, but if we have a few little guidelines around it, it can be pretty straightforward and super effective. So with gratitude, I'm asking here for between 1 to 3 things that you're grateful for. Now those things can be things as amazing as the love of your children, your partner, things like that. Or it can be as simple as having a coffee in the morning, access to hot water, a fridge to cool your food. These things are things that we can often take for granted. But it's really important to understand that we are privileged to have access to these things. And practicing that gratitude, as I touched on before, really does rewire the brain. We are designed, we are programmed to focus on the negatives from evolutionary point of view. And in everyday life these days, it's easy for the stresses of our lifestyle to take over. Gratitude is a simple way to train our brain to recognize the positive things on a day-to-day basis, and that helps us to then, in our everyday life, see those positive things more clearly. So 1 to 3, don't get caught up on it. Often what I see here is people are trying to go for the grand things and all the amazing things. Be grateful for the simple things in your life as well as the amazing things in your life. Don't get caught up on it. 1 to 3 things. The next step here is goals. So again, there's 3 lines there. Option of 1 to 3 goals. There's a tick box on the end that I'll explain a little bit later on. So with these goals, these are things that you want to get done in the day. Now, again, they can be small or large. Don't make them too big. We want to make these achievable goals. If it is a massive goal, then put one step in that goal that you can achieve that day. And 1 to 3 goals for that day, it can be as simple as drinking more water. It can be going for a run. It could be to connect deeply with my children. It can be to give somebody a compliment. Something that is important to you to achieve that day. With growth, this is something that is going to move you closer toward the person that you want to be. So in this program, we talk about goals and the things we want to achieve, but more importantly, the person that we want to become. Now, growth is a step that's going to take you closer to that person. For me, at the moment, have recognised that I spend mindless time scrolling through social media. Now, that's not something that the person I want to be does. So, my growth at the moment is limiting screen time, and I've got some plans in place and some boundaries to make that more likely to happen. With affirmation, an affirmation is, there's a few different ways we can look at it, but what I'm asking for here is an affirmation that's I can help you put together. Essentially, it's when you first set it up, it's making some time to sit down and really think about the values that are important to you, and writing a few paragraphs around that person with the beginning of the sentence being I am. So affirming that this is the person that you are and this is the person that you are continually striving to be. Now, affirmations can sound to some people to be a little bit airy-fairy, a little bit hippie. You know, how does just saying something make it happen? It can feel like it's just magic and hoping for the best. It's not that. It's really well scientifically based, and the way I look at it is the noise of life can make it easy to just go through and get things done, tick the boxes, without really focusing on the things that are important to us. It's easy to get caught up. But by doing a daily affirmation, we've sat down and spent the time to really think about the type of person that we want to be, the values that are important to us, how we want to interact with the people around us, the attitudes that we want to hold and portray. And if we remind ourselves of these every morning before we go into the world, then we're more likely to behave in that way. So we remind ourselves of the things that are important, the values that we hold dear. Reminding ourselves every single morning of that when we go out into our normal lives. When we come across a situation that could be challenging or maybe not, could be great, it's front of mind how we want to respond, what values are important to us, what the attitude that we want to have is going to be. So that affirmation is exactly that. It's just reminding us how our ideal person will behave. Breath. Again, there's so many amazing tools here, but this is such a powerful tool in the arsenal of self-improvement. Now, breath is a tool that is free of charge. It's accessible to everybody. It requires no skill, and we can do it. It can a practice can take 1 second, or it can take 60 minutes or more. It's an amazing tool, and I can help you with some really cool guided breath work sessions that we can adapt to whatever situation is necessary. But doing a simple breath at the start of the day does a few things. It gets us set mentally, physically, physiologically for the day, and it gives us that space to be able to get ourselves ready and in the right headspace to tackle the day. There's more about that I'll talk about at a different point, but this is something that is extremely powerful. And again, I can give you some resources. That means whatever space you have available. It can be a 3-minute breath work before you get out of bed, or it can be a 15-20 minute breath work, whatever is going to be accessible to you. Next one is outside. So getting outside. Getting outside is, again, an amazing tool that we often overlook. Our bodies run on a circadian rhythm, which is roughly 24-hour rhythm, which obviously coincides with the day. That's how we have evolved for our bodies to function properly. And with that circadian rhythm, there is a certain timings that our hormones go through, which tell our body what to do, when to wake up, when to be active, when to start to slow down. And that circadian rhythm is typically for most of us is all over the shop because we are under artificial light often. We're watching screens way too often, and so that rhythm is thrown out. The single most effective way to reset that rhythm is by viewing sunlight early in the morning. So getting outside, viewing sunlight, you don't have to stare straight into it, you just have to be amongst the light. I can give you guidance around that as well. But that lets our body know it's morning time now. It's time to start that cascade of hormones to get us ready to go into the day. So this is the morning routine. Writing down your gratitudes and your goals and all these things here. Notice the tick boxes over the side here. I said I'd come back to these. This is a super powerful routine in the morning. It gets us started for the day. It also gives us some guidance. We can reference this throughout the day so we know what our goals are and keep us on track. When we come into the evening, there's another process here that we'll go through shortly, but one of the things we want to do is tick off whether we've done these tasks throughout the day. Now, a few things around that. Ticking them off, firstly, is an achievement. That helps us to realize that we are moving forward, we are progressing, we are doing the things that we have set out to do. And so the fact that we tick that box is super powerful. There's actually a physiological response, a neurological response that helps us to continue these same habits. So it's a super positive act to physically tick that box. Now, that's one of the reasons it's important to make the goals achievable, because you want to, for the most part, you want to be ticking those boxes. Just the reality of life is we don't always get to them, which is okay. Now, this acknowledgement at night is a super important tool as well. So often there's a lot of us that have trouble sleeping or getting to sleep or waking up and our mind's racing. Now, often what that can be is the subconscious mind going over things that we wanted to do but didn't. And when we don't have any guidance around this, it's easy for the things that we wanted to do, we forget about them, we don't do them, and then, as we're in a light sleep early in the morning around 3 a.m., the mind comes up and then the subconscious goes, hey, what about this? And we start thinking about it, we wake up and we lose sleep. Whether we've done it or not, ticking that box is going to be helpful. Sorry, that's not right. If we've done it, ticking that box is helpful. If we haven't done it, I will turn the page over and I'll write that same goal on tomorrow's list. So now, although I haven't done it, I've acknowledged it. So my subconscious can relax. I can say, okay, cool. Well, it's not done. I have a plan for it. I've acknowledged it. And I don't have to think about it anymore. It's tomorrow's thought. So that is, again, another powerful technique, simple but powerful, that helps us to get better sleep and let our minds rest while we're meant to be resting. Okay, so that's an important part of the evening routine. Now, in the evening, this gratitude, empathy, mindfulness, this is taken directly from the Resilience Project. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. It's an amazing book. This evening routine is something that helps us round off the day and get into restful sleep. So gratitude, this is something that we're grateful for that happened that day. So just a little review of the day and some amazing things that happen. And again, it can be that you had a great coffee. It can be that you caught up with an amazing friend. It can be that you got to sleep in. Whatever you're grateful for that day. 1 to 3 things. Again, don't get too caught up on it. Make them as simple or as grand as makes sense to you. This next one, empathy. Now this, I believe, can mean different things for different people. For some people, sometimes it'll be empathy, sometimes it'll just be kindness. So that empathy and kindness is proven to be an amazing mood enhancer. It releases when we think kind thoughts or do kind acts. That, again, has a physiological and a neurological response in our brains that is super positive, super calming, and helps us to regulate our nervous system. So again, it can be different. It can be saying a kind thing to somebody at work. It can be buying a meal for a homeless person. It can be, for me, in a very high conflict relationship, I would practice active empathy to the person that I was in that conflict with, which would help me understand them more and reduce the conflict in that situation. But also that active empathy would allow me to have that release of those hormones that when feeling empathy and kindness towards somebody else, even in a difficult situation, occurs. So really powerful and important part of this process. Now, mindfulness. This is again relatively individual to each person. So mindfulness is it can be a reflection on the day, a meditation. It can be a sleep meditation, a sleep story, something that's going to get us back down into the mindset, the headspace that's going to give us a peaceful sleep. There are many apps that I can help you or pass on to you that you can use to help with this. But getting us in the right mind frame to go to sleep is really important. So that's the last thing we do before we have a beautiful, restful sleep. There's notes down the bottom. If there's anything that you just want to make note of that day, there's space there to do that. So, guys, that may sound like a lot. The more you do this, the more it flows. It becomes easier. The first time you'll do it, it may take 15, 20, 25 minutes. Once you're in the flow of it and you understand the process, it can take 5 minutes. And again, I cannot speak highly enough of this routine and how much it helped me when I was really struggling. And the feedback that I get from the people that I have passed this on to is amazing as well. So please take your time to create this habit. Do what you need to do. Ask me any questions if you have any questions. But please use this tool to start that process of moving towards the happier, healthier person that you want to become. As always, if there's any questions, please reach out. Enjoy, guys.